On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Mike and Bennett are sitting down to talk about... Now, we're going to talk about water, but we're going to talk about every climb and place that you can take a gun. I think we should also say water, because you need it. So, I'm just throwing that out there.
Pretty sure you need water.
Pretty sure you need that shit. I was issued a Camelback. The one that I got issued was like the green with a black V on the back of it. And you got a black Camelback insert, with a little thingy that you bit on the end. And I'm pretty sure it was straight, didn't have the 90 degree. It was like the most bare bones basic Camelback. And it served a great purpose. I mean, I arguably my best Camelback. Because when you start throwing bells and whistles on it, it's all extra shit that can just break.
Shit breaks and all kinds of shit.
Right. And I'm hard on my gear.
I was never issued a Camelback, but we were finally authorized to wear Camelbacks. Finally, like in the fucking desert, basically.
I had never seen a Camelback until I got into the Marines. I didn't know that they existed. And I was an athlete. It's just I never needed a Camelback. So when I showed up to the
why would a wrestler or hockey player need a fucking a fucking Camelback?
And we got issued canteens. Don't get me wrong. You know, we didn't get the big, like the drill instructor ones. You know what I'm talking about? Those were legit, man.
Yeah, the 2-quart canteen.
Those were legit. I would take that on a recon patrol, but it's only like extra water because you can't access it all the time. They used to put straws in those things, I think, back in the day. Remember the canteen straws? You could like whip one of those mugs on your back and then shove a canteen straw all the way around to your snout. What do you think about that? Rolling around in Mop 4 sweating.
Yeah, I remember when they had one of those. I remember they had those fucking things. But I finally was, I got a Camelback way before they were even... way before they even allowed us to wear them, just because we could bring them to the field, or I should say we did bring them to the field, and that shit will save your life, you know. I had already been a heat casualty when they really came out with them, so that shit was a lifesaver for me. Kept me out of a lot of trouble.
I bet you flinch extra special when the water gets cold. I bet there's
right.
I bet there's a whole nother pucker of a flinch that happens when you step into a cold shower. I bet that's more than just a shock with that.
Shut your mouth. It might be because I had a thermometer in my ass.
Yes, we went there. Fantastic. Yeah.
Which I think I've talked about before. I mean,
have. There's, we don't need
a couple episodes.
There was, dude, I never shared this one before, and it just kind of popped into my head. We were out on range 119, I want to say, in 29 Palms. If you've ever taken Range Road on the way out to Wilson, you go past Wilson, and down on the right side, there's a mortar range with like a buddy rush Ivan target range directly to the left of it. So the idea being you have advancing infantry while you're firing mortars. It's actually a kind of cool setup. You know, and anybody who's ever been out there, which is freaking everybody who's, gone through the proving grounds, so to speak, you know that the end of our SDZ, or the backdrop to our range, essentially is a mountain, right? It's just a mountain range that's out there. So the only spot of shade in the entire place is the shade of the control tower, and like this, I don't even know. It's like a nylon bra canopy, It's like what would go across the Jeep.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Attached to 4 poles, and it's about 40 feet square. So you have 3 platoons out there, and it's 130 degrees. Like, without exaggeration, it's 130 degrees outside. Somebody told me, because we were in and out of black flag conditions, and it might just be bullshit scuttlebutt, but somebody told me that we hit, and it was a guy in the weather station, don't get me wrong, I specifically wanted to know what the conditions were that went black flag, so I no shit hoofed it over to, like, Baramat, essentially, and wound up asking him, okay, what was the heat index the other day? Why were we going in and out of black flag? And anyway, it was 150 plus degrees at some points throughout the day, but steadily throughout the day, the thermometer was 130 degrees outside. And it was, dude, we're in full kit buddy rushing when it wasn't black flag. And then the thermometer would spike, and then they would put you in black flag. And I'm like, what are we doing? Why why is this? You know, and I mean, fuck, man, it's good training. In all actuality, you're going to be fighting in a war under those conditions in not too long. You know, but at the time, oh my God, dude. You would just lay there on the desert floor, on your Camelback, with a straw in your mouth, just let gravity do all the work. Just lay there and absorb, you know, boiling hot water. You know, they tow a water bowl out.
Yeah, I remember doing that shit. I remember doing that shit at NTC.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, yeah, just buddy rushes. Like, we had this area where we were buddy rushing, and it was like mounds, I guess you could say. So we would have to rush uphill and over and uphill and over. And I just remember us doing it literally, I'm not shitting, all fucking day. Until the first sergeant said we did it right. And our first sergeant, this is when I was in the Army. So the first sergeant was a Ranger, you know, tabbed out motherfucker. And oh my God. Well, we called him El Diablo Blanco. That was his fucking nickname.
The White Devil?
That was his nickname, man. The White Devil. He was a fucking badass, right? We loved him to death, but he was a dick. He was such an asshole.
Oh my God.
Like, he would just make... mindless repetition and blunt force trauma. That was his fucking thing, man. He's like, I'm going to fucking do both, bitches, and you're going to fucking learn. So let's go. Fucking let's go, sweetheart. Yeah, he should have been a Marine. Seriously. Right. He was that kind of first sergeant. And he was a hands-on guy. It wasn't like he sat back in the rear of the gear.
Right.
Like that motherfucker. He had these fucking Oakleys that he used to wear all the time, too. Like, dude, what the fuck?
Right.
That shit was fucking funny as shit. But anyway, yeah, El Diablo Blanco. Yeah, the White Devil. Fucking funny as shit. So he would just smoke us fucking going and going and going. And we go down, and finally, my squad got to sit the fuck down and chill out for a while because we were finally done. But there were some other guys that weren't. And I remember just leaning against this fucking pile of rock, like stone, and just crashing the fuck out. And all you could hear is like 60s in the background. Talking. It wasn't 60s, they were 240s, so I say 60s. But they were, talking. Just fucking, I remember that day just dying of fucking. If I didn't have a Camelback, I would have died.
Yeah,
I shit you not. I would have gone down, gone out, it would have been out.
Everything's just salt. There's no sweat. It just,
it was horrible.
Dude.
It was so bad.
We had this, our first sergeant he was a dual cool, right? He had the scuba bubble and free fall jump wings. I mean, the guy was he was like Force Recon, the whole 9 yards. I mean, the guy was a fucking legend in my eyes. I'll tell you that much right now.
And then he had to get out of it to actually make a rank, right?
Well, yeah.
Fucking sucks, man.
Yeah,
I know, yeah.
And it was funny though because he was our first sergeant, well on his way to sergeant major, and did retire as sergeant major. And we were, I'm not exaggerating, absolutely blessed to be able to have this guy as weapons company first sergeant. And his name's First Sergeant Breeze, or Sergeant Major Breeze, excuse me. But he was just phenomenal as a first sergeant. And he would go out and PT by himself, and then he would circle. That was like his warm-up. He'd go out and do a PFT, and then come and pick up the battalion and smoke the ever-living shit out of us. And he wasn't a very tall guy. He was a barrel-chested dude. He was one of those guys who would like walk up to somebody and be like, "Hey, Marine, you're not gonna die. Just hydrate." I'm like, "Oh my God, dude."
Right.
And the
water's your friend. Water is your friend.
Well, and the first night we got out there, we're used to the coast in Camp Pendleton. It's a different time. It's a different kind of chilly out there in February. When you get out to 29 Palms and it's 02, and it's this weird, dry cold. It feels like a goddamn winter, and we're standing there and we're kind of shivering at parade rest. And he's like, "Stop fucking shivering. Otherwise, I'm going to start shivering. Just stop. Breathe. Thank you. All right, this is how we do things at Weapons Company." And I'm like, dude, this guy is amazing. Like, just pay attention to whatever this guy, you know what I mean? But it was funny though, because he was the guy where, and this is where Tommy, one of our guys in our platoon, got it. He would see guys who were just quivering. They fell out on the side of the road in the middle of a hump. Tommy would look at it and be like, "Should have hydrated. Just should have hydrated.
Should have fucking hydrated.
Just so dry.
Should have hydrated." I know, man. Yeah.
We hydrate or die, which I believe is now a slogan.
Dude,
by
that's
Camelback.
A t-shirt.
Yeah. No,
it has to be. I know, but it has to be. Oh God, bro, I just remember. It's so bad. Just so bad. Well, obviously, I've told that story from California where I got the thermometer in my ass at the end of it, where they literally brought a Black Hawk helicopter down on the fucking state road. We scared the shit out of a state trooper. Fuck, bro. It was just all bad. So if you haven't heard that story, you need to go back and find it. I wish I knew which episode. We talked about it on a couple episodes, but either way.
Yep.
But another one where I went down like a fucking bag of dick was where I was running point. And this was actually, it was just doing training. I didn't fall out. But I did. But I didn't get put in the rear with the gear. You know what I mean? We had enough downtime where I just sucked down a Camelback and, sucked it up. And then we went on night ops after that. But I was running point and, oh my God, man. I just remember fucking breaking all this fucking brush because they didn't. That was the one thing about Lejeune. At least most of the underbrush was burnt.
Yeah.
At Fort Drum, they didn't do controlled burns. So you had all this fucking deadfall everywhere, and breaking brush was a fucking son of a bitch, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, we've all been there. But for some reason, man, my body wasn't having it. So I remember just getting all lightheaded and all kinds of straight up heat exhaustion, right?
Right.
And finally we got to where we were going, and I look at my squad leader and I was like cross-eyed.
No.
He's like, hey. And as a team leader, you're like, you don't want to show that you're fucked up like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just kind of hide off to the side, and I'm just sucking down water, looking for Doc. Bro, if Doc comes by, I'm like, give me an IV.
Right.
That kind of fucked up.
Right.
That's how fucked up I was.
This is happening.
Doc never came by. So once we got it. So I downed some salt packs from the fucking MREs, that whole thing. Just kicking it.
Jesus.
Because we were getting ready to do assault. Now, see, this is something that the Marine Corps does, or that the Army does, that I don't know if the Marine Corps does it anymore, but we would, to get worked up for deployment, you would have to assault a trench, a trench bunker complex. That was part of the workup.
So that's
we were getting
Yeah,
so it was ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous though, because you're like, oh, we're gonna assault the trench. I'm like, what is this, World War I?
Right.
Kind of this. But that shit was so fun because you did a live fire, and you would literally have I remember somehow we got attached. Some Bradleys got attached, and they had the weapons guys up on top of their Humvees, just fucking, and then we had air Kiowas and all kinds of gunship shit, just laying the crazy down on the trench, prepping it for us. And then the engineers came out. We did the whole Bangalore thing. So I was like, I'm not missing that shit. I'm going to watch the fucking fireworks,
right.
So, yeah, man. So I had to fucking hydrate hardcore that day.
But it didn't happen.
So I didn't go down. Well, I didn't go down. That's what I'm saying. I did. No, I got to assault that fucking trench.
Right.
It was badass.
They didn't lick it and stick it. I hear you. That's positive. That's a solid.
Got kind of fucked up by a grenade that night, too, but that's another story.
See, that's so we talk a lot about being hot and needing to hydrate, but I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's almost doubly important at altitude. A lot of people don't consider that. And as you go higher and higher and higher into the mountains, and the air thins, and the air dries out, and the humidity drops, and everything else, and you're huffing it, you really need to hydrate in the mountains. More so, you can probably get away with drinking 2 gallons of water when you start getting up there at elevation. I mean, Denver's one thing, don't get me wrong, because it's extraordinarily dry, but in Bridgeport, that was a huge consideration, because God forbid you got altitude sickness and dehydrated. I mean, dude.
What's the altitude of Bridgeport-ish?
Basecamp, I want to say, is at 5,000. And then you go up to the 8,000 foot parking lot. And then we probably got to 10 or 12. I mean, I'm roughly remembering that.
So enough where you're feeling it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you are definitely moving up in elevation. I mean, you are climbing a goddamn mountain kind of a deal. In some of those spots. spots because...
Well, isn't that the whole point of Bridgeport?
Well, of course. Yeah, of course. Well, and that's why when you talk about Fort Drum and doing some of the 10th Mountain stuff, it's like, oh, man. Because Bridgeport was one of my favorite times in the Marine Corps. It was difficult from a family sense because our kid had just been born recently and I was going to be gone for a month, you know what I mean? But like the job was amazing. You know, that's where I kind of came alive as a squad leader. But we had a guy who went down in the mountains, and it was one of those things where it was like they called a kind of like a halt to the exercise while we were doing stuff instead of trying to run a cherry picker.
One of those. Was one of those, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I watched him start to tumble down the mountain. I mean, he was 3 or 4 guys back from me, which you know how it is in dispersion. Christ, he must have been 60 yards back, and he's head over heels down the mountain. And,
Jesus Christ.
And it was one of those things where it's, you know, it's always a sequence of events. It's not just, oh, I lost my footing. You know, it's, oh, I lost my footing because I'm crazy tired. I'm dehydrated. Supposedly didn't have any, I don't know if this is true, but supposedly it was out of water and we were getting ready to go just a little ways further. We wound up doing a gear stop. It was a planned stop along the route. Which really sucks because it's like, oh man, if you would have just made it a couple hundred more yards, you know, you would have gotten hydrated and then had the opportunity to fall out later. I don't know.
Now, have you ever seen anybody that's overhydrated? That's actually, they drank too much water and pissed out all their electrolytes. So they literally, it's almost like, I don't know, it's not like the opposite or anything, but it's just as bad because then you dehydrate that much faster because you got nothing to help you retain water and your muscles just like cramp up really bad. That happened to me. So I'm just a fucking mess when it comes to the heat, bro.
Hey man, it makes sense. I mean, you know,
but this is why I literally now, like, I make sure I have Gatorade. Like, if I know I'm going to be out in the heat, like, I have to have like some Gatorade and stuff to keep that healthy replenishment of freaking electrolytes because I've had that freaking problem where I pissed them out.
Yeah,
just bad, bro.
See, I've seen it where, you know, there's like standard just straight up dehydration where they wind up sweating everything out. They turn pale. And then essentially they're this weird clammy type dry and then they wind up dropping out. I've seen guys who overhydrate and they almost like water IT themselves. And then in throwing up and doing other things, their body kind of burns through that water. And,
correct.
And
for sure.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened with one of the guys. One of the guys in our unit, we thought went into cardiac arrest, but it might have been due to lack of hydration. And we called for, I mean, I had nothing to do with it. I was a boot at the time, and I was just watching. But they called for a bird, and he was a sergeant, I want to say. I mean, he had been with the unit for a significant amount of time, so he was well acclimated to the surroundings. But it could have been, you know, a lot of things are hidden with dehydration. If you're just pushing fluids, as you had said, if you're just pushing fluids without electrolytes, if you don't have any salt, then, you know, you're just going to pee out all of that good nutrients. But if you balance it out in regard to electrolytes and then you pop
you should be okay. Right.
I mean, that's always what I did. No matter what, I just always emptied all of my salt packet and anything else that was high sodium, and I made sure to bring high sodium snacks out to the desert.
And Rippets don't count.
No, Jesus.
Even though they're loaded with sodium, all the other shit makes them diuretic. So nope.
Right. Well, in my
that's why I used to laugh when I hear about them in the desert, they would just like be just mainlining Monster and Rippets, and I'm like, dude, there had to have been a shit ton of heat casualties.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There were, yes, and it's been the cause of it many a time. You know, it's kind of funny. Have you ever had salted beef? Comes in those thin slices.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? In the little jars.
Yeah.
I love that shit. And my vehicle commander on the first tour turned me on to it. And that's always that was my go-to pokey bait that I always made sure I had. It's a paper-thin disc that's only, what would you say? I mean, it's the mouth of a coffee mug or something like that. It's not very big.
Yeah, maybe like 3 inches across. plus.
Right. It's like
Max,
they took
two and a half.
It's like they took backstrap and thinly sliced it, kind of a deal. But it came in that little tough plastic jar, and it went in the rucksack. It was perfect. And usually if you ate one or two of those in a day, you had enough sodium in order to last. And sometimes I would tear that up and put it in MREs and stuff like that. It's good. It's got that, it makes the mouth salivate the same way that
Yeah, we would rock the beef jerky too, whenever that was not available.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you always rock the beef jerky. That shit gets it rocked out, man.
Well,
they also make a kind of like a candy that's kind of like Gatorade. It's like a hydration candy, and I wish I could remember the name of it.
Does it come in the pouch?
No, it was like they were hard candies.
Oh,
and you could add them to your water, but you could also just have them. So it was pretty cool. And I don't even know if they sell them anymore, but they're probably like cancer causing or some kind of shit. probably gave you like testicular cancer after you ate 3 packets or something.
I put that in my tab and add a pinch of Splenda. So good. Yeah. The other thing too is sardines.
Splenda.
Did you ever eat sardines?
Yeah, man, sardines. Fuck yeah, especially with I like the ones with the mustard in the mustard sauce.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Holy shit, bro.
For
fucking
sure.
Killer. With some saltine crackers.
And the little kosher wieners. You know what I'm talking about? You got 7 little wieners in that little blue can.
Like Vienna sausages.
Vienna sausages. There you go. You pop it, you drain it, you douse it, right? You put in the hot sauce in between the little slots.
Yeah, man. So you got like those, and then you've got I was never a potted meat guy, but that was just like a big old wad of Vienna sausage, basically.
Right.
I'm not Sling Blade, motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it might sound like him.
Mashed taters. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, you know how it is, man.
Meat.
You know how it is. All of that high sodium keeping you hydrated.
Gotta keep you hydrated. Anything to soak that fucking water up to and keep it like a camel. Just to soak it up, man. Hells yeah. And once you have heat exhaustion, you're way more susceptible to have it forever.
Is that the factoid for today?
Yeah, it is. So I don't. Let me pull it up, but I got exact. Give me a minute to talk about something.
While he's doing the factoid, we're going to talk about our collaborators real quick. And we all get together on social media at Cigars and C. That's at Cigars and C. You can follow us across the board, Twitter, Facebook. And we have the Cigars and Sea Stories listeners group, which is a private group. And by all means, invite your friends. We check credentials at the door because ISIS sucks. And that's why. Other than that, I want to thank our sponsors, which again, these are collaborators, and you've seen us talk with one another across the social media spectrum, but also we collaborate on the back end of things as far as we're mutually supporting each other in our own efforts. So huge thank you to Spartan Media. Jeremy Knopf is going to be standing up a digital marketing podcast here pretty soon, and I for one am actually very excited. He's got some cool interviews, he's got some cool folks who are coming on, and he's got some helpful insights. So when that releases, we'll be sure to roll it out. And we haven't even had Jeremy on the show yet, which we definitely are planning on doing here pretty soon. So huge thank you to Spartan Media. Also, veteranslist.us. We've had Rick and Will both on the show. We mention them in every episode because veteranslist.us is, well, frankly, it's ran by a couple of cool dudes who really understand that people are looking to become more featured as far as veteran-led organizations. But also, sometimes veteran-led organizations have an issue with, dare I say it, credibility, because they haven't necessarily gone through the veteran service, the small business hoops or what have you. So if you're a veteran-owned and operated business and you're credible, here's my DD214 or what have you, get with veteranslist.us because they help out folks like yourself. Similar to an Angie's List, how Angie's List vouches essentially for their clientele, for the businesses that are on there. Veteranslist.us establishes your name as a credible agent as being a veteran-owned and operated business. Go ahead, get a featured membership half off by entering in discount code Cigars and C. And when you go on veteranslist.us, check it out. I mean, there's all sorts of brands on there. One specifically, Combat Flip-Flops, that comes to mind. Those guys are doing great things. They're fellow EBVers who have been in and around, the scope, and we would love to have those guys on. So anyway, check out veteranslist.us. Get a featured membership, 50% off when you enter in discount code Cigars and C, and get yourself listed on there. Time now. And last but not least, Heroes Media Group, which we just can't say enough about Heroes Media Group. They're doing great things. Again, it's one of those where it's like you got to keep chugging along. They're doing great stuff behind the scenes. The podcast network as a whole is growing, and it's one of those where it's like faith through listeners who are coming together and saying, this is great content. We want to be a part of it. Check it out. It's at Heroes Media Group. Check out all the brand new podcasts. He's got a lot of them and a lot of inside scoops that are coming up. He's also doing transcription services. So those of you who are fellow podcasters and you want to get transcribed episodes, check out Heroes Media Group, reach out to Mr. Adam Bird, and get the ball rolling right now on those transcription services, because it could make it or break it as far as adding more detail. We're looking to get on that bandwagon ourselves here pretty soon. We'll see what happens. So those are our 3 collaborators. We work with them. I would also like to give a shout out to Mr. Thomas McPherson of McPherson Marketing Group, who is they're fantastic. McPherson Marketing Group, they are a team of individuals who all operate solely within their strength base. We work with them for digital marketing, but also they have helped us out as far as with 5-paragraph business plan. They helped us create the cover. They help us with press kits and white papers and all of the nitty gritty, hey, I've got to look good in the moment type detail work. McPherson Marketing Group can really hook it up. He works with a variety of different clientele, and it's based upon the needs of the client. Check him out, McPhersonMarketingGroup.com. We've had Thomas McPherson on the show, sitting down talking about what it's like publishing a book on CreateSpace and being self-published, which 5-paragraph business plan is available on Amazon right now. It was published by us. It's printed in the US of A. We've got great 5-star reviews on there, and for that, we are deeply grateful and appreciative. See benefit in it. Attack your mission with a 5-paragraph business plan, and it's based on the military's operations order, what we know and love. So check it out at 5paragraph.com. That's 5, like the number, the digit, paragraph.com. And when you do so, you can receive a free workbook by entering in hashtag 5P at Cigars and C. Again, that's hashtag 5P as in Papa, or P as in paragraph, hashtag 5P at Cigars and C, and you'll receive a free workbook. Thank you so much for listening to these and being a part of the conversation. You guys rock. So we're going to jump back over to Bennett, and I'm hoping he's got a factoid.
No, I do, but it's what's called, you develop what is called heat intolerance, and it's 10 times worse after you've had heat exhaustion, or really after a heat stroke. And it does something where it can mess up your thyroid, and it also messes with your serotonin levels, which are all contributors to heat intolerance. So if you can not get heat exhaustion or heat stroke, fucking make it so. Yeah. That shit'll fuck you up for life. Seriously.
You probably fart different now too, I would imagine.
Probably. More sideways. Comes out a little weird.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, but along with the 5P thing, I'm working on a business plan right now using the 5-paragraph business plan. So, I mean, Michael Penny knows this, but I'm telling the audience. So, yeah, man, easy to use, and we really do use it. It's not some bullshit gimmick.
Every day.
I've got a serious business plan that I'm working on now, and I'm not obviously going to tell the audience what this is about because we're not public yet, but it's a serious fucking business. Michael Penny can attest to that.
There it is.
And I'm in a minute we're using the fucking 5-paragraph business plan to write the business plan. So Yeah, man.
There you go. Folks, that's why you stick around. We really do appreciate you being here and listening to all of our episodes, and we appreciate those 5-star reviews. It's awesome. You guys make the show, so thanks so much. And on that note, we cue the music.